Hi friends, welcome back to Faith and Arrow Homestead. My name is Jaylee and today I'm going to teach you how to make tortillas and taco sauce because we are making quesadillas. And store-bought tortillas have so much junk in them. The ingredient list on the back of them is so long and it often includes things like potassium bromate that's really bad for you. And so making tortillas at home takes a little time but only a few ingredients and it's easy and they're so delicious. Oh my gosh. And then taco sauce is actually new for me. I've not been making it that long, but I've really been able to kind of nail this down and make it taste just like the store-bought, and it's also really easy to make. So we're going to start with the tortillas because they have quite a bit of a resting period, and then we'll move on to the taco sauce. These are freshly milled sourdough tortillas. Here I have 360 grams of freshly milled flour. I did hard red, hard white combo. It really doesn't matter. You're not really looking for a rise or gluten development here, so it's not that big of a deal. I have 360 grams and we're going to add 250 grams of sourdough starter. Then we're also going to add about a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 cup of olive oil. Now, best practice would probably be to mix this in a stand mixer with your dough hook. I don't feel like getting any of that out, so I'm just going to use, I love using these smooth rubber spatulas for this kind of thing because it doesn't stick to it too bad and it keeps me from having to get my hands dirty. I am mixing and mixing this tortilla dough, and I'm like, why is this so dry? I just made these the other day, like not even a week ago, and it's so dry. It's because I forgot to add 3/4 cup of water. 3/4 cup of water. Let's try that again. All right, now I don't personally spend much time kneading this. I just get the ingredients really well incorporated, and then I just let that sit. Because of the freshly milled flour, you need to let that sit and absorb some of that moisture, and then I'll go back and knead it again for a couple minutes, but I really don't need it a whole lot. So we'll revisit that in a second. Let's go ahead and talk about our taco sauce. So first you need 1/2 cup of tomato sauce. I've been using this organic passata from the grocery store. I do have canned tomato sauce, but I don't want to open up a pint jar just to use 1/2 cup. We're just going to go ahead and get that into a small saucepan. And then we also need 1 cup of water, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and then I have sliced jalapenos that I purchased from the grocery store, and I put 1 or maybe 2 if I'm feeling it. 2 teaspoons of just the liquid. Yeah, I'll do 2. I like it a little spicy. I'll do 1.5 teaspoons. And then here I've got white wine vinegar. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of this. Then we're going to do a nice sprinkle of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic, 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. And then you would do 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, but I actually don't have any right now. And so we're gonna take this over to the stove. So over here on the stove, I use a whisk to get all those ingredients nice and combined. I turn the heat on to high. I'm going to bring this up to a boil, and as soon as it starts boiling, I drop it back down and just let it gently simmer. Okay, this is boiling, so we are gonna go ahead and turn it down just a little bit above low and let this just simmer. We're going to come back over to the counter. So the next step is to add 2 teaspoons of cornstarch to 1 tablespoon of water. You're making like a slurry. I do not have 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, so mine's not going to be quite, my taco sauce isn't going to end up being quite as thick in the final product, but if you do the 2 teaspoons of cornstarch to 1 tablespoon of water, you certainly will. I think I've got 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, so I'm going to do 1/2 tablespoon of water. Okay, let's bring this back over to the stove. All right, so this is over here simmering very gently. We're going to turn the heat up to medium, and we are going to add in our cornstarch slurry. I'm going to turn that down a little. Let's turn it into a bit of a boil. And we're going to go ahead and whisk that in. I don't know how well it's translating on camera, but it's not going to thicken it up as much, like I said, but it is definitely giving it a bit of a thickness here. Let this just simmer here for a moment. And that's it. I'm going to turn off the heat. I actually think that looks pretty thick for not having enough cornstarch. It's not bad. So something I learned in my taco sauce quest is to not cook this on the stove for too long, because it really goes from that like bright, tangy tomato flavor that you come to know in a taco sauce to more of a cooked tomato flavor like that of like a spaghetti sauce or a pizza sauce. And it's just not what I'm going for. So I do recommend keeping your cook time on the stove pretty minimal. You do need to warm it up. Warming it up helps all of the different flavors come together, and then it also helps when you add your cornstarch slurry, helps to really thicken it up. But I kept it real minimal, if you noticed. And then just for brightness, I like to add just a splash more white wine vinegar at the end, and it just really brightens it up. And this is so tasty. So that's how you make taco sauce instead of purchasing it from the store with all those ingredients. So easy. It only takes a few minutes. You know the ingredients, and it is really good. It tastes almost exactly like the store-bought stuff. Okay, with our taco sauce all done, we can move on to our tortillas. And this dough has been sitting for a few minutes and absorbing some of that awesome liquid. So now I just like to take my little spatula here and just kind of move it around and push it in on itself. I just kind of rotate it and push down. Rotate it and push down. And this is kind of more or less kneading it. And I really honestly just do this like, I don't know, maybe 20 times, like this push, this pull and push down. And it's just an opportunity because I can see that there are still a few little dry spots where the ingredients aren't incorporated all that well. If I feel like there are a lot of dry spots where the ingredients aren't incorporated, then I will come in here with my hands and just kind of like right here, there's like a chunk that's really dry. So I'll just come in here and kind of knead it with my hands if I feel like it's necessary. All right, and this is a really sticky dough, just so you know. So if yours is sticky, that's normal. So once your dough is decently smooth and it doesn't have like a bunch of like chunks of like dry flour and stuff, it's time to just let it sit. Now, to really get the health benefits of the sourdough, you want to let this sit and ferment at room temperature for like 12 hours to honestly up to like a day. I very rarely ever have the chance to do that. I very rarely ever think ahead enough to have time to do that. Dinner's in an hour. So I'm going to just turn my oven, like whenever I want to do this, I turn my oven on, I let it heat up a little, and then I turn it back off, and I'll stick this in the oven covered with some saran wrap to keep it from drying out, and I'll just let it kind of like quick rise in the oven where it's warm, and I'm going to do that. I'm probably just going to let it sit for like an hour. I've done that plenty of times, and I still get really delicious tortillas. I'm not going to get the same flavor profile and health benefits of the sourdough by doing it quickly like that, but there's still some. And it's just the reality of things. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Get this in the oven. All right, it is the next day. I was very foolish to think that I was going to be able to get that done last night. So this is one of those rare occasions where you're actually going to be getting the video the day that I film it, because yesterday I volunteered at the church all day, and then I had to go to work. And so I had like literally a 2-hour span of time where I was home yesterday, and it just did not end up happening. So I left my poor family to fend for themselves while I went to work, and guess what? My tortilla dough has had ample time to rest in the oven with the oven light on and rise, and it's more than doubled in size at this point. So I've got a clean work surface. I've got my bench scraper, which I love using for tortillas. If you don't have one of these, I'll link it down in the description for you. And I've got my olive oil. A lot of times when you are going to do some shaping of some dough, you like to flour your surface. Tortillas work better if you oil your surface, which was new to me at the time. So don't be afraid of it if it's new to you as well. I just pour a little olive oil right on my clean work surface, and I just spread it around. And it's a little messy, but I don't think it's any more messy than using flour. It mostly comes up onto the dough anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. And we are just going to go ahead and get our tortilla dough right onto the counter. Oh, strong sourdough smell, because this was left to its own devices for the appropriate amount of time instead of going quick like I said we were going to. And so it smells so nice and sourdough. So of course, like if you're in a pinch, you can make these without having to do the long ferment, but if you want them to really be the true freshly milled sourdough tortillas, then of course leave the time to do it properly. So as you can see, I'm just like trying to knead the dough a little bit, just make it nice and smooth, and look, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. It was so sticky when we put it into the oven last night to do its rise, and now it's gorgeous. So this recipe makes about 12 normal sized tortillas, and so that's what I've got the bench scraper for. We're gonna go ahead, I like to kind of roll it out a little bit. And then we're going to cut this into 12 pieces. Sometimes I end up with ones that are a little bigger than the rest because I am truly so terrible at cutting things into even pieces. Like, seriously, not a skill of mine. And so I just go through and cut off the ends of a few of them to make a 12th one. And there you go. So we've got 12. So now all we do is roll them into balls. I don't think it actually even really does anything, but I like to do a little surface tension here, roll it into a little pretty ball. It just makes it real nice and smooth and pretty. And just kind of pat it out a little bit. And then we're just going to set that to rest on our clean oiled work surface. Yeah, so rolling it around on your counter like I'm doing just gives you a nice, smooth, pretty ball. That's all. It's not necessary. If all you want to do is take it and just do this number, that's fine too. It really doesn't matter. All right, so these are all set. So now what I do, I take 2 paper towels. And when I say that, I mean like I don't tear them. Like I've got 2 paper towels and I get them damp. And I actually keep them pretty damp. I do squeeze out the water, but I could squeeze out more water. I like them to be pretty wet. And try not to rip them. I like to cover my little dough balls with the wet paper towels, and you need to let them sit about 30 minutes. So here's why we do this. You're going to let the gluten relax. You're going to let these little dough balls relax, and it's going to make it so much easier to roll these babies out into tortillas. If you tried to roll them into tortillas right now, they would jump back into their original, like you'd roll it and it would shrink back. And it's very tight. It needs to relax. And so letting these sit for a half an hour accomplishes that, makes it so easy to roll these out. I actually have to go back to the church and do a little bit more volunteering, so these are gonna end up sitting for like over an hour, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. So when I get back, we will move on to the next step. All right, we are back, clean hands. Let's make some tortillas. So we're in the home stretch of this whole video, actually. We are almost done. So my paper towel, I was gone long enough that my paper towel dried out a little bit, but luckily, not too bad. All right, so, oh, these feel nice. I have a tortilla press. I don't like it at all. I bought it off Facebook Marketplace, and it was the Victoria brand that I wanted. I was so excited, and then I tried using it, and I was like, nope, much prefer doing this by hand. And so all I do is take it. Oh, do you see how easy that's releasing and letting me shape it? And it's not like tense or anything. Oh, these are going to be perfect. Actually, I'll flip it over. And then I do use my rolling pin. And I should probably go ahead and lightly oil it. It'll just make it easier. And then we just roll these babies out. Now with tortillas, you want them to be as thin as you can get them. The thinner the tortilla, the better it's going to end up being when you cook it on the stove. However, I have had issues in the past with trying to make them too thin, and then I just can't get them in the cast iron properly, and it ends up being a mess. So let's try this thickness here and see. I try to usually get it started with my bench scraper. That's actually, see what I mean? So there are things you can do to keep that from happening. Like I could have been way more careful with it with my bench scraper, and I could have put in way more effort to get that up. But honestly, making tortillas is one of those things that I don't want to spend a ton of time on, and so I don't care if they're a little imperfect. And so likely what I'll do with all of these is a thickness more like this. It's still going to end up being an awesome tortilla, but it's thick enough that I will be able to pick it up and transfer it to my cast iron pan. See how it's holding up? This is a much better thickness. So my cast iron's not even preheated yet, so I'm actually just going to set this back down. and let's move over to the stove. Let's talk about these tortillas for a second. So I almost decided to scrap this video because this has been a really tough one for me to film. It's been a really busy couple of days, and I'm starting to get really aware of how often I say that to you guys, whether it be in a video or in my community tab, or I post videos Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. I didn't post a video yesterday, and I just hate coming up with excuses. And so I really tried to get this video put together. Yesterday I was frustrated and I tried to hide it. Today I'm kind of frustrated and I'm trying to hide it. And then these tortillas just were not working out for me. And I want to tell you why. I think that my dough is overproofed. So what I did and what I've been doing, I've made these tortillas a bunch of times. But what I do is I take Lisa from the farmhouse on Boone, I take her sourdough tortilla recipe and I convert it to use freshly milled flour. And so it's all the same, it's the same recipe. I just use 3 cups of freshly milled flour instead of 3 cups of all-purpose flour. If you don't ever work with freshly milled flour, you may not know that it does not behave the same way. So there was a little bit of tweaking there to try and get this to work. I have never had the dough sit out as long as it did last night and into today. And she does say in the recipe to let it ferment for 12 to 24 hours. Mine was out for like 15 hours maybe, somewhere in there. So I assumed it would be fine. It is falling apart. It is actually so hard to roll out the tortilla and then get it into the pan without it falling apart. And I was done. I was like, I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I was gonna give up. I did end up getting a good tortilla so that I can at least show you. This is what they usually look like. You can see in the middle I had a nice pretty bubble that deflated. It's like a nice golden brown color. It's round. This is nice. Here are some of the ones from before it. So bad. Oh my gosh, I was getting so frustrated. But I'm a little hangry too. And so I made myself a quick little quesadilla that I was munching on before I hit record again. It's just been a rough couple of days, you know? But I really want this to be a positive place, so I'm trying to find that balance. Like, I don't want to be a complainer, but I also want to be transparent. So I'm trying to find that balance. I'm going to be honest with you, even as I'm talking to you, I'm going to have to edit this and see how I feel about it. But if you're watching it, I decided to upload it. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get the rest of these tortillas nailed down. And then I will, if I can get 2 good ones, I'll show you how I put the quesadillas together, just so that you can see and get this inspiration for dinner. But I just wanted to tell you that if you decide to make tortillas freshly milled using her recipe the way that I'm doing, I would not let them sit out for as long as I did. I think the most I've gone was like 3 hours. I think I've had them sit out for 3 hours before I turned them into tortillas, and that was fine. The flavor is really good. They're very sourdoughy, just very tasty, but it's just difficult to work with. All right, these pain in my neck tortillas are done. So now what we need to do is go through and try and find a couple that are similar in size and shape. And I actually think that these last 2 are pretty perfect. They match each other pretty well. They're ugly as all heck, but you know what? It'll do the job. So all I have right now in my kitchen to put on these tortillas is our taco sauce that we made together the other day, and it is so stinking good. I'm gonna put a little bit, I'm just gonna do one side. I do like to have a little bit of taco sauce on there, but mostly I use the taco sauce for dipping. I'm having a day. Back to my quesadilla. Okay. So I've got a little bit of taco sauce on one side. I am almost out of cheese in this house, so I have a couple slices of Colby Jack, and we were using this for sandwiches, and I'm just going to use this on my quesadilla. All right, and then all you have to do is throw this back into your cast iron skillet for a second, just long enough for the cheese to melt. I turn the heat just a little bit above low, nothing crazy. I'm not taking you with me because if I have to move this camera again today, I'm going to scream. All right, y'all, here we go. Look at that. Oh, wow. Yum. We've got our little thing of taco sauce here. Let's give this a taste. I just cut it with a pizza cutter, by the way. Mmm. Can you hear how crispy that is? The tortillas were not perfect this time, but they still taste really good. Well, I'm done. I'm gonna put the camera away and just relax for the rest of the day. Yeah, I don't know. I usually am pretty positive. The last couple of days I've been kind of, I don't know, feeling very busy and just kind of, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. I don't want to put words to it because I think I need to process it a little bit more. But it's all good. It's okay. I just really appreciate you guys for watching this video. And I really love, I know that I've got such a great support system on this channel. And I really appreciate you guys who watch my content, even when I may not have my best like YouTube face on. I definitely think a little bit of my mood probably bled into this video. And you know, it's hard because this is my life. Like, I'm not in a studio for a TV show. Like, I'm in my kitchen in my home living my day-to-day life, and sometimes that, you know, varies in what that looks like. So however, I do still want to give you quality content, and the tortilla recipe, I'm going to work on it a little bit more. In the meantime, I'm going to link Lisa's down in the description for you, and then when I have found a way to like really marry the sourdough with the freshly milled flour consistently, I'll put that on my website and I'll get that out to you guys. But the taco sauce recipe is a winner. So good. This taco sauce tastes just like the store-bought stuff. And I'm not just saying that, like, it really tastes exactly the same. Like, if we did a blind taste test of this versus the store-bought, it tastes exactly the same. So I'll get this up on my website and I will link it down into the description. If I don't, so this video, today is Tuesday. Like, the day that this goes up on my channel is the day that I'm literally going to go sit down in my office and edit this and get it on my channel. So I may run out of time to get the recipe up on the website. And so I obviously give you all the measurements in the video. But if you just give me a day or two, I'll get that on my website and then I'll link it down in the description. So you can visit back if you want to like print that or get the link for it. I thank you guys so much for your consistent support of me and my channel. And I love this channel. I love it so much, and it's not an inconvenience. It is a blessing, but sometimes life gets hard, right? I had somebody suggest this to me, and I'm going to start doing it. I am in the middle of hosting a virtual book club. So I know this video will be on my channel, you know, for a long time. So if you're watching this and it's an old video, then I don't know where we're going to be at with it. But currently in December of 2023, I'm hosting a virtual book club. And right now we are reading The End of the World is Just the Beginning by Peter Zehan. I'll have it linked down in the description for you, the book. It would be so awesome if you would read that with us and then join us in the virtual book club meeting. That is Saturday, January 6th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to host a live stream here on YouTube and we will discuss the book in the chat. And I did this once already. This will be my second meeting coming up in January, and the last one was so much fun. And was just really awesome. So I'd love it if you would join. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so, because this is a very active channel. I try to keep it really real with you guys, and I just really love getting to know you guys, talking with you in the comments and whatnot. So thanks so much for watching. Have faith, my friends, and keep moving forward. Bye.